Hello, Sharpies. I'm Tom Cunningham.
I am not giving my name.
That's probably a good idea. This is Steel, Sharp, and Steel. We have as the first comment, it wasn't the first comment in the feed because, of course, Anthony Turner. But
Mhm.
Mike, you actually kind of secretly logged into our private conversation because Joy was inspired by a comment that we got from Phil Hairston about it only being 8 days into the damn year, and already things have gone completely to hell. So, New Year, New Shit is actually pretty close
Mhm.
to the vibe we were going for.
Yes.
And as Bob Breeden noted, since we named the show, there has been another ICE shooting.
Mind you, I
And
named the show like 3 hours ago.
right. And open season is a direct allusion to that.
Hey,
Um,
Phil.
yeah, we did. We had to drop you, Phil. That was on you. Two people have been shot and wounded in Portland, and
Mhm.
this gets us right into the first segment that Joy has very cleverly called "Noem Country for Old Men." Now, it's it's a particularly difficult contest to say who is the worst member of this administration. It's really tough because on the one hand, RFK Jr. may be responsible for the deaths of untold numbers of children since
Right,
measles is officially not under control in our country anymore.
right. Can you imagine? Can you imagine going through, like, I'm 51. I grew up with the measles already being something of the past. I
Right.
remember when it was like, we have officially ended measles in the United States. There's no cases, hadn't been any cases for so long. And then because, and again, it's because so many people, specifically in Gen X, so many people grew up thinking that it was, I don't know, a hoax or we didn't really need all this stuff. And they're like, we don't need to vaccinate our kids. They'll have herd immunity. You get herd immunity by vaccinating the kids, right? And now measles is a thing again. The more things change, the stupider they get, you know? Not
So you have
season.
RFK. You have Marco Rubio, who by all indications has completely traded every ounce of his intellect into being the worst hack ever. I never would have believed that about him.
There's something to that. So, I really hate that a combination of 1984, The Handmaid's Tale, the Parable of the Sower, and Wicked is now our reality, right? But the idea that people go along with absolute dangerous and violent fuckery for their own personal, individual, and short-lived gain is how we got here. Nobody wanted to look at the bigger picture. Nobody wanted to say, you know what, this probably isn't good for society. All they could think is, I'm about to be paid today, not even next month, not even next season or next election. I'm gonna make some money in the next 3 days, and it's worth throwing away my entire purported values for that. Clip that.
Yeah, and it seems to me that when we think about somebody like Christy Noem, she didn't really have that much value before. So maybe she just feels like this is her time to shine in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And
There's
so
so
she's
many of
just,
them.
it's true. It's like Marco Rubio is a person who I would have expected under normal circumstances to be a competent cabinet person.
Yeah.
But he is in with this, indiscriminate pack of shitweasels. And so everybody else is just making each other, I'm turning into RFK, they're making each other
Worse.
in, into just the worst possible parts of themselves. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
like going into a Trump cabinet meeting is staring into the dead. And their souls are just snatched away, and it's,
Mm-hmm.
oh yes, we all float in here. And it's just something that I really wasn't.
Really,
I'm going to
I
get some
didn't
water.
expect it. Like I think one of you go ahead and get you some water, babe. But one of the things that I think we expected was that there would be some level of, I don't know, bumpers or boundary or something on Trump and all of his cronies by the quote unquote level headed Republicans, the middle of the road Republicans, the rhinos, even that was somehow, be in there and say, well, maybe we shouldn't do that. But what we're seeing is it's worse. Like they are going into these areas where we thought they would be the voice of reason, and they're being convinced to be crazy too. That's what I keep seeing happen. Like, if you got to remember, okay, so Christy, whatever, Hegseth, whatever, he comes from a political family, but he's not necessarily a political animal himself. And if Trump had surrounded himself with just inexperienced nut jobs, we could say they're all inexperienced nut jobs. They don't know any better. And this is a mess. And it is. However, there are people in his cabinet that have political experience, and they have recent political experience. And we've seen them be more rational, more middle of the road, more willing to compromise and to pass legislation than what we have now. And again, it goes back to my statement that they are throwing away their entire legacy for a buck right now. And some of them aren't even making the buck right now. They're throwing away everything they said they believed in for the promise of future compensation or remuneration. And we know Trump don't pay his bills.
Well, and here's the other thing. You're not only trading it for what you perceive might be possible in the future, you are likely trading it for a sell.
Yes.
So if
let's remember, I read an article about, the philosophical love of my life, Michael Harriot. And he was saying that, what was he saying? He was talking about everything that's happened so far and how we told y'all it was going to be this bad. We told y'all what they were going to do. We told y'all that Black people were the blueprint and not the enzyme and the inline. Like they were going to continue. And now we got a white woman shot in the face in broad daylight. And everybody's like, oh, the same way they were like, oh, when George Floyd got shot. Like this keeps happening and we keep telling you it's going to happen and you keep not believing us. And over and over and over again, we see time and again that everybody's shocked by the depravity. Why are you shocked? This is Caligula. Like, what did you think was happening? We keep telling you this and you keep saying we're overreacting. I remember in 2015, I told one of the ladies that work with me that, actually it was early 2016. I said that if he wins, they're going to gut Social Security. Now, she's a super hyper conservative white woman, my employee, by the way, so she didn't appreciate that neither. And she's like, well, it's not like I'm happy he won. Like after he won, I was like, but you voted for him. She goes, well, what else was I supposed to do? You were supposed to not vote for him. She goes, well, it's not like it's only 4 years. It's not going to be that bad. And I told her, I was like, you act like we haven't toppled regimes in 30 days. And I remember I said, they're going to gut Social Security because her husband was disabled and he was on nothing but Social Security and Medicare. It's like they're going to gut those programs. They would never. I saw a post from her last year saying that she was doing a GoFundMe for her husband's medical care. Mind you, she worked for me. I know what she used to make. I know how much money she had. But once the social safety net of Medicare, of insurance, of Social Security goes away, you got nothing. And you run through your retirement in days.
A second. Almost as few days as it took us to go to war with Venezuela, threaten to take over Greenland,
bomb
Nigeria, and threaten Colombia and Mexico. Clip that. This is where we are in this country. We are not even a smooth 2 weeks into 2026. We are not a full year after the inauguration. He hasn't even been in office a full year. And we are threatening a NATO ally, giving a permission structure to Putin and China, embarrassing ourselves on the world stage. And it's beyond Trump at this point. Make no mistake, the entire world is looking at all of those people who voted for Trump, and they're thinking, this is what Americans are. These many people voted for this. Now, some of them think that probably Americans didn't expect that all of this would happen, but that's on them because they as much as said it was going to happen. They told you in Project 2025 everything they were going to do, and you still went for it.
And that's the problem. It goes back to Lyndon B. Johnson's famous quote: if you can convince the poorest white man he's better than the highest black man, he will not notice that you're picking his pockets. Hell, give him somebody to look down on, he will empty his pockets for you. Project Twin, Trump's entire platform is, I hate who you hate, and we're all better than them. And then nothing else. There's no concepts of a plan anywhere other than we both hate them. But the problem is he's telling you we both hate them. He's telling them we both hate them. He's telling those people we both hate you. Right. And so it's a round robin, a circle jerk, if you will, of hatred. Right. And so everybody assumed they voted for abusing, persecuting, expelling, and torturing other people. They
Yep.
just didn't realize it was a circle and eventually it would come back around on them.
And
That's
it
they didn't vote for them for it to happen to them, but they absolutely voted for it to happen to other people. And this is karma like a motherfucker right now for all of them.
and we are in the midst of seeing what a circular firing squad literally looks like, as we had that woman who was murdered in Minneapolis. And this is how crazy it is. You would have expected something like this if it were a person of color.
Yeah.
You would have expected it.
They would have
Now,
already pulled up something she shoplifted when she was 12 years old. They would have already pulled that out.
now, because she is a member of the LGBTQ community, they have gone and they've tried to find some things. They've pulled up some stuff. Noem went out immediately and called her a domestic terrorist. The president of the United States said she ran over an ICE officer who is lucky to be alive.
And a
Meanwhile, he
lot
was
of
walking.
people didn't watch the video and listen to him. That's straight out of 1984. Do not believe your eyes.
And he was walking up and down the street, pulled his mask down, which is why he has been able to be identified by local newspapers. So his life is about to become a living hell. And Chrissy Noem is sitting there saying, well, we're not going to make any conclusions until the investigation is complete, but she's a domestic terrorist. Now, counterpoint that to in the aftermath of January 6th, where a knife-wielding Ashley Babbitt was trying to crawl through a barricade with a knife to kill police officers and Capitol Police and maybe kill legislators who were hiding and sheltering in that congressional chamber. She is a patriot, but this mother of three who was attempting to drive off after an agent tried to open her locked door, this American citizen woman tried to drive off, and this guy shot not only one shot when she was pulling away, but then shot three more after the car had already passed him. How was he in danger? He wasn't even ever struck by the car.
And she was not guilty of any crime.
She was
They
not.
weren't looking for her. She wasn't a suspicious character.
Nope.
There was no warrant for her arrest. She didn't even have a parking ticket. She just tried to drive away. And there were
After they
other
told
people
her to
that were
drive
trying
away.
to drive away. There was another car that left right before hers. And
Yep.
they decided they didn't want nobody to leave. Okay, but you're not a police officer. You're an ICE
Sure not.
agent. There's nobody that you're looking for in this car. She tried to do what we tell people to do, which is leave the scene of a problem. Like, get yourself to safety. She tried to do that, and he shot her for trying to save her own life. So he was never in any danger. Look,
Nope.
I have been hit by a car before because my
Boom.
friends don't know how to drive, right? It's one of the reasons I don't let them drive. It was a rolling hit, but I did get hit. And foot under the car. I live to tell the tale. I don't even have, not under the tire. I just, I got hit and was like, yo, what the fuck? And
Right.
she's like, I'm so sorry. Yeah, you never drive again. However, my life wasn't in danger because a car going at half a mile an hour can't kill you.
Nope.
And so she was in reverse, which means at some point the car had to stop completely in order to go forward. The physics of it doesn't make sense. He was never in danger, and he was on her driver's side. And he shot her in the face. And why? Because I don't know, because he's not getting laid, I guess, the whole incel thing.
Misogyny plus incel ego plus apparently, this is something that has come out. Apparently, he was in another situation where he was hit by a car previously. I don't know if it's while he's been on his little ice cosplay vacation, but something happened where he had an interaction with a vehicle. And so there is a supposition that maybe he was kind of taking it out on this chick because he didn't get his lick back on the person who
Mhm.
actually did cause some sort of injury that gave him stitches or whatever. At
Which
the
was
end of
the
the
entire
day,
Gulf War, by the way.
yeah, I mean,
They
it's
tried to kill my daddy, so I'm gonna start a war in this city. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. The whole point is that we are in a place where we went from it's just about the illegals. No, I'm sorry, it's just about the criminals.
Right.
Anybody who is here without paperwork is illegal, and therefore that's a crime. So it went from the dangerous ones to anybody to, oh, you're American, but you spoke with an accent, and so it was a mistake, to white
Anybody I don't
women,
like.
anybody who stands in my way. You are not law enforcement in that way.
Even law enforcement isn't
Can't
law
do that.
enforcement in that way. You at least have to have probable cause. You're supposed to probable cause, a warrant, an active investigation, something to allow you to pull up on anybody. You know, was one of the reasons that Black people tend to keep their cars in excellent shape because a bad tail light could cost you your life. We know that. We talk to our sons and daughters about that kind of stuff. But
That's right.
white women are the protected block. If you think about it, go take it back to um, I'm blanking on the guy's name that shot up the church.
Oh,
Um,
Dylan Roof?
take it back to Dylan Roof. As he sat there and finished praying with those people, he said, "You're raping our women." That was one of the reasons that he said that he came and shot up a church full of good Christian people, right? Because they were attacking the women. The original what was this? I'm sorry, I've had a couple of drinks. And so my memory left with the drinks. But the Birth of a Nation, the original Birth of a
Yes.
Nation movie, talked about a man in blackface, supposed to be black, attacking a white woman. White women are the protected status in the United
Killer.
States above all others. And they just shot one in the face
Multiple times.
multiple times.
And let's be clear. If he were a regular police officer, because he's supposed to have a body cam. I didn't see a body cam on
No,
his little play
they
uniform
got
vest or
smart and
whatever.
they started putting police and ICE on the back of their little tack vest, but they're not police.
They're not police. Any person with those many angles showing of the event, that officer would not be protected. There was no contact between him and the car. She backed up and then she moved forward. He got out of the way and shot her as she was leaving. That's not a good shoot. And Christy Noem can say it as many times
Mhm.
as she cares to. It is not a righteous shoot. And if he
Absolutely
were a
not.
regular Leo, he would be in trouble.
Right. And just like Phil is saying, they're all taught under doctrine to never stand directly to the front or rear of any vehicle because you could get run over, right? And this jerk leaned into the first shot in the windshield and then stepped off to fire two into the driver's side.
As she
None
was
of
leaving.
that says that you are in danger. You
Right.
are the danger, and then like, and Chan's got a point with this $50,000 incentive sign-on bonus, everything. They're getting failed backup crossing guards. They're getting everyone who wants to play out their Rambo fantasies couldn't. And think about this, because you got hierarchies and like military uh, stuff, right? You got people that actually join the military, and then people that maybe reserve. And I'm not trying to shit on reservists. Thank you for your service as well. But then you have cops who couldn't make the cut into the military, which is why you see so many law enforcement entities buying up excess military stuff.
Right.
No city PD needs a tank,
Right.
right? Then you have people that couldn't make the cut as cops, couldn't make the cut as gym teachers, and they are now all ICE agents, right? This
I
is the
mean,
worst.
$50,000 is a lot in this economy.
It is. So, do you remember? So, think about this. You think about in your fraternity, I'll think about my sorority because I got examples as well. People who were paper or who was, excuse the language, just bitches for men. you know, on their line, or, walk through, whatever, however you want to put it, skipped across the sands, however you want to put it. They come back and try to be the hardest motherfucker on
Artist.
campus. And always, they're usually the ones that get their whole chapter in trouble for hazing, because even though they were never hazing, because they were never, they have no idea of boundaries of what's acceptable, etc. I never thought that I would be saying stuff like the police are better, right? But here we are. The police are better at this because at least there is some soupçon of a reason, right?
I like
Some
for Susan. You better put a
some little
Sedilla under that C.
something that says I had a warrant, or you look suspicious, or I pulled you over for a tail light or something. These dudes just roll up on a woman and is like, you know what? I don't like you. You look like that girl that broke up with me in the 8th grade, and I'm gonna shoot you in the face. That's all we got now.
So yeah, and I was about to put that up. I'm glad you did. So he's right, because aggrieved white men now have put themselves at the top of
Yep.
the pyramid, because
And
they're the ones who are most at risk.
this is all part of that loneliness epidemic, anti-feminism bullshit too. Because of the fact that she is LGBTQ, she was a member of the LGBTQ community, and that she left her husband. Leaving your husband is not a crime. It's definitely not a capital offense, right?
Right.
But it adds to this idea of straight white men being persecuted. And that's how she becomes a terrorist, because she had the audacity to try to be happy with another woman.
Right. 3 kids, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's move on to this next segment, because we're 22 minutes in, and we have demonstrated that if we get on a tear in the first segment, it can be dangerous. We'll go up to 47 minutes on segment 1. So we're going to move on to segment 2. Adam says, what? Joy, take us into this segment.
So if you haven't been avoiding the news, then you know that the person in the White House had a speech the other day. It was the most unhinged, what the actual F speech of all time. Look at this. This is actual footage.
That's not AI.
This is not AI.
Wait.
Pulled this from CNN's website.
So before we get, no, put it back up, because I got to say this. Do you see the difference in color between his hands and his face? How crazy is that? And I'm just now seeing, I heard about the cotton candy hair, but I can see it in this picture.
Yes,
his hair looks pink. And is this your president? People hazed Barack Obama for wearing a tan suit, and he's out here with his tongue out.
He does have small hands, though.
I mean, those hands look like Chucky hands.
And is that a Band-Aid on his index finger on the left side? It looks like it's probably where they pricked him to get his, blood sugar or, radium levels. I don't know.
Listen, I can't call it. I just know that we are in trouble.
All I know is, once again, it's giving jaundice,
Oh, it's one of my favorite. We've talked about this content creator a number of times on the podcast.
The ear is looking pretty damn healthy. Yeah.
He wasn't shot in the ear.
No, he wasn't shot at all.
It didn't happen. What happens when you get shot by a high caliber bullet from a distance? Charlie Kirk happens. And he is sunsetting on live TV. And I was just about to say, that's one of my favorite content creators. He went from 4 to 6 months to 3 to 5 months. And now he's at 2 to 4 months, either between the land of the living or until he has to be taken out of office by the 25th Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And so, oh my gosh.
47 days. From 5 months to 47 days. It takes 3 months for you to learn all the products you need to learn to be a salesperson for a company I used to work for. That's 90 days. This is half of that. 47 days. You know how long? That is 6 weeks. Maybe 7. No, 6 weeks.
That's shorter than the break that Mike Johnson put the House on last fall.
That is shorter than a period of grading in an elementary school.
And speaking of the House, it's got to be said, they voted to extend the ACA by 3 years. Uh, there
Hooray.
was a there was a plan before Hakeem Jeffrey said no, we're going to go for the full 3 years. There was a plan for 1 year, just extend it. I thought 1 year was a compromise that might actually have been able to be embraced. Hakeem Jeffrey said no. Mike Johnson immediately threw the House into recess the day before the Epstein files were supposed to be delivered. More on that later.
Mm-hmm.
And today they actually got the 3 year extension passed in the House. Now it's probably going to hit a brick wall in the Senate. May not
It
hit a
may
brick
not. A
wall.
whole lot of them senators been hearing from their people.
They are sweating, and
Mm-hmm.
the same senators who voted to put forth the resolution to suspend Trump's war powers. All you would need is them same senators to vote for cloture, and then
Mm-hmm.
it becomes a simple majority, and you would have a simple majority in the Senate to pass these subsidies because
Absolutely.
a whole bunch of them are in trouble.
They've been catching
And
hell from people left and right. All the folks that
listen,
didn't know Obamacare was the ACA. Once again, we told them that in 2010, in 2012, in 2016, 2018. The ACA that you were on is colloquially called Obamacare. I remember on the Daily Show, they asked some woman about that. She goes, well, he shouldn't have named it after himself. That's off-putting. And they were like, he didn't.
he didn't.
It's called the ACA. He said the Republicans named it Obamacare so people wouldn't like it. She goes, well, it worked. And that's all you got to say? That's all you got to say. Okay.
We have two comments that I want
That's the
to.
lowest
Bob Breeden said nobody's seen the Proud Boys. Yeah, because they're in masks
ice Asians. Yes.
and in flak jackets. They're not calling themselves Proud Boys. They're just calling themselves ICE.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, those four. Because I think it was 52 to 47. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Who voted to suspend his war powers, and so then now that's got to go to the House. I think that would probably pass. Nobody, this Greenland thing. Listen, I know that most of MAGA thinks that people from Denmark are called Denmarkians. They're Danes, but they're all white. That's the Lego country. You don't get to threaten Legos.
That is Lego.
Not Nigeria. Legos,
Not
like
Lagos.
little plastic bricks.
Legos. Yes.
You don't get to threaten it. And Copenhagen is wonderful. Tivoli Gardens, the inspiration for Disneyland. It's a great place. I happened to go there just last year, 2 years ago, and it's a pretty cool place. It's lovely in Denmark, and it's a homogenous. Well, not completely homogenous, but more homogenous than it is here.
Yeah.
It's
most people don't really understand how varied the United States really is. Like even in Great Britain, where it's a ton of Black Brits, they still only make up 3% of the population. And I believe Asian is right at 3% as well. So you're talking about 6% minorities. Well, we're at 43% to 45% minorities in the United States.
And a lot of those Black and Asian people, both Indian Asian, Southeast Asian, and mainland Asian and Japanese, are in London.
It's all in London. Once you leave London, it's whitey white Whitemanstein.
Yes. I mean, clotted cream white, baby. It's super duper white. So I say all that to say that when you start, it's only 30, 40,000 Greenlands, folks.
What are you even doing?
They're an ally. And you got Trump, who knows nothing, who literally knows nothing, talking about the strategic interests of the United States. Like you actually care about Russia. You're helping Russia invade Ukraine. You don't care. You want this hemisphere. You want North America and South America. That's what you want.
They're trying to. They done mug Venezuela for their oil. Now it has to. That is specifically a protection scheme. Right?
Absolutely.
We're talking straight gangster move. You can continue to sell what you were selling, but now it has to go through me or I'm going to beat you up. So I want 10% off the top. That's exactly what we've done to Venezuela.
The internet remains undefeated. Somebody took Dave Chappelle's sketch where he was George Bush in the Iraq invasion and made it, they AI mapped Trump saying Chappelle's words. He's like, oil, what you cooking something, B? And then he hops up out the chair and runs to get out. This is where we are. We're literally a Chappelle Show sketch away from the dissolution of NATO, and the protection of the world order. This is 19. Remember 1984? There was um, Oceania, and there was East Asia, and there was. Come on, Mike Bartlett. Tell me what the third nation state is. Um, and they were the big three, and that's where Trump is. Trump wants this slice, and he'll let Putin and China divvy up the other bits.
Oceania,
What's your region?
Americas, British Isles, Australasia, and Southern
Awesome.
Africa. Yeah.
That was Oceania, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oceania, Eurasia, and East Asia,
Yeah, Eurasia and East Asia, right? Okay,
which is
so
kind of what it is. Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
it is. I mean, that's where we are. And the only thing that gave me a little bit of hope at the beginning part of this year is when Mamdani was inaugurated, and he gave a hell of a speech.
He did. And all
That
anybody
was
could talk about was old girl's shoes. Like what? Like
the
six hundred
boots,
six
the
hundred
six
dollar
hundred.
pair of boots ain't even that expensive.
That's not that expensive.
No.
I mean, shit. The big baller brand shoes were like $450, and they were crap. And I heard the boots were loaned. They weren't even like she
No,
didn't even
yeah,
buy
there
them.
was a fashion loan, which people do when they want everybody to see you in these shoes. They loan it to
She's the
you.
first
And
lady in New York. Like,
yes.
chill out. Yeah, China. If China goes for Taiwan, I mean, it's a problem. And we will see how things shake out over the next little period of time.
Mhm.
I was very encouraged that Tom Tillis basically slapped the crap out of Stephen Miller and said, Stephen Miller is basically worm tongue at this point,
Ah,
feeding BS into that oatmeal mush brain of his. And nobody wants to stand up. To hear Marco Rubio say that, oh, well, he was indicted. He was in another country, bro. I could understand if he was in Miami and you snatched him. I
right.
could get that. He was in his own country. And you're allowing Putin to invade Ukraine. You're going to go into Russia and snatch up Putin?
Nah.
Because of Gazprom? Like, what are we doing?
How do we know
How can
Putin
you
isn't?
believe that this is supposed to work?
How do we know Putin isn't Bubba?
Well,
Anyway, let me not get off track. So this last comment, the regime wants to collapse the economy. You're right. Because when an economy collapses, especially in end stage capitalism, which we're in now, only the uber rich can survive the collapse. They got enough money to weather the storm. And once it all collapses, they control everything, right? Because we're still counting on currency of some sort, and they will have it all, whether it's gold or Dogecoin, Bitcoin, whatever, or cash dollars or just equity. They will have it all. All these companies and their shell companies are buying up all the land. Land is probably the only thing, it's one of the few things we can't make more of, right?
right.
So they own all the land. You own the land that people live on, you own the people. And if the economy collapses, people will work for food. And that is called sharecropping. And that's where we're headed.
I can't reiterate enough how scary it is that we are living the way that we are living. If you really want to scare yourself, watch Mountainhead.
Mountainhead?
Mountainhead. Steve Carell and Steve Carell is probably the biggest name, and then there are two relative newcomers, and then the guy from all of the Wes Anderson movies. That guy. They're all these uber rich guys, and one owns basically. It's supposed to be kind of like Facebook/X, and he's invented this new AI that allows you to create absolutely convincing AI images. One of the other guys owns an algorithm that will verify whether or not something is true or it's fake. Steve Carell is like an old school kind of Bill Gatesy kind of person who's about to die, and so he's concerned about his legacy. And then the young guy, the young Gisher guy, is kind of a climber. He's wealthy, but he's not in the multi-billion status that the others are. And Mountain Head is his little mountain retreat, and he invites these uber rich people, and they basically start about dividing the world. And it's awfully frightening.
Jason
Yeah, Jason Schwartzman. That's him. Yep. So what I will say is that I watched it because it was on somebody's list, and I said, okay, let me watch it. And it was disconcerting. It was very tricky, especially since as we consume as much internet content as we do in preparation for the show, and also just being humans in this era right now, you see the AI that is so convincing. Even like the baby stuff that
I've been
is fake.
tricked by it a couple of times where I've sent
That's
something,
right.
like, look at this, and they're like, that's not real.
That's not real. And but the stuff is so real. And one of the things of Mountain Head is that there's a lot of AI fakery going on, and people are taking it seriously, and it's having real world consequences. But at a certain point, you're not sure if what are supposed to be consequences of something that was spawned by AI is AI or it's real.
And that's where you become, don't believe your own eyes.
And here's the thing. I don't know about the rest of you all. China is making a robot that can do martial arts. And it looks like really close to the robots in iRobot. And when I tell you, I saw a demo of this robot jumping and doing a spinning back kick that knocked the crap out of a suspended watermelon that was about the shape and density of a human head, I said, oh no, it's a wrap, baby. If they start manufacturing those, and guess what? Tesla is not close to what these people are doing.
American robots are still struggling out here. Yeah.
And these are robots that can chase you down and kick you to sleep. And they're working. We need to
mass production is just a material scale away. Yeah.
Listen, and they have the rare earth magnets. Trust, all them little joints and things, and the titanium blopty bloops.
You know what? I'm gonna say something crazy. You ready?
Yeah.
I'm kind of here for it, because once again, their own technology, and by they, I mean white people, is going to bite them in the ass, because AI is notoriously racist, right?
Oh.
They I worked for a company where we had to uninstall a bunch of Wave soap dispensers because they wouldn't work on black skin. Like, I was as dark as you could get, right? And so if that is the base of their AI, and they say attack, they don't see me, they don't see us. They might see us. We might want to be out in the sun a little longer, but we can just be like, hey, over there, and I'm with it. Go ahead.
We are at a point, and stop me if I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. I don't think anybody thought we would be threatening Denmark and Greenland. America first.
It's like picking on first graders. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to their economy and their intelligence, etc. I'm just saying, from a size standpoint, it is a high schooler picking on a third grader. That's what we're doing. And everybody's like, how gross are you? And they're like, I can do it. I'm going to do it. That's crazy.
And let's be clear. The reason he wants Greenland is because he thinks Greenland is big.
Well, he's still falling for that Eric the Red nonsense.
Yeah,
he doesn't know.
Also falling for the Mercator projection on the map. He thinks Greenland is huge. He thinks Greenland is almost as big as the United States.
Does he know that Greenland is really ice and Iceland is really green? That's why people live in Iceland.
Exactly. All that geothermic energy. And Björk.
Yeah. Iceland is basically Hawaii, but cold.
Right.
It's a volcanic
island. Real pretty. I haven't been to Iceland. I'd like to go.
I've been to Iceland. If anybody ever goes to Iceland, hit Blue Lagoon. That shit is awesome. It's a hot spring, and the water is filled with so many minerals that it turns it an opaque blue. It is awesome. It's good for your skin too.
I saw a piece of content about this place, and it's either Norway or Sweden. It's something on that Scandinavian peninsula, where for half the year. It's like they don't have a sense of time because the days and nights are all screwy, and so it's like might be 4:30 in the morning and people are playing
Mhm.
football, and you can go and get something to eat anytime you want because they don't have clocks. They literally, if you walk into town with the watch, you take the watch off and you nail it to this bridge, like the Bridge of Sighs, and you just, because it's all crazy, and so you just chill out, you just relax, and it's this incredibly beautiful place. Every time the sun goes down, every time it's dark, they have the beautiful northern lights, and it's the best place apparently to see the northern lights. It's this little island somewhere way up, and that might be where we have to go
Mhm.
because ain't gonna be too much safe in
No.
the world.
But Bob, I wanted to make a point about this.
Oh my
Israel is
God.
bombing Gaza right now. 14 confirmed dead, including 5 children. There was never a ceasefire. That was just a breath. They
There was never
never planned
peace.
to honor that. The bombs never stopped.
No. And this is the guy who's claiming he wants a peace prize. Meanwhile, the Venezuelan opposition leader who actually won the peace prize didn't get the nod to take over the country because he just reinstalled Maduro's vice president, who's basically him with breasts,
Yeah.
hugging North Korea, China, and Russia. Where do you think that oil's going? Do you think Russia would allow you to embargo oil that they want?
No.
And even the oil companies, somebody said it in the chat before,
Yeah.
the oil companies don't want a part of this. And he has the nerve to say the U.S. taxpayer should reimburse the oil companies for going in and rebuild. The infrastructure is there. That's why they have all of the oil. They don't need to be propped up
No.
by U.S. oil companies.
No. And this, again, this goes back to the myth of American exceptionalism. Trump and his whole regime believes it with their whole heart that they are smarter, faster, better, stronger, and they are absolutely none of those things. And so you out here beating your chest for a bunch of people that are beating your ass, and you don't even understand that you're losing. And we are being forced to lose with them because we live here.
And also, side note, Colombians and Venezuelans are about that life.
Yo, I mean, he's messing with companies. He's messing with countries that kidnap company children as a policy. Like
Did you see?
again, from back in my corporate days, I remember one of my friends was going to work in South America, and they gave him a whole rundown on how to keep his family safe. And like you had to go to work with like security because kidnapping executives' children was just par for the course,
I
right?
mean, Man on Fire was set in Mexico, but that's a thing. Like, and I hope Passport Bros stay your ass out of Colombia, man.
Yeah.
Don't
No,
get
they
it
like to go to
confused.
Brazil anyway, so they'll be fine. Although, most countries, because of the passport rules, are now making you prove you got a ticket home. You can't
You
just
got
come
to
down
take it
here.
home. You
You need
got
to
to have
leave.
some cash.
And don't forget to go when you leave. Yeah, they dead serious.
Okay. Okay, Chan.
I see what you did there. Whoops.
Yeah, there you go. Harder, better, faster, stronger. They're
Yeah.
just
Cute.
daft punks. Literally crazy hoes. That's where we are. That's our government right now. There is
Yeah.
not a single person in the cabinet that you would trust to be somebody that could represent this country with honor. And
Mm.
Hegseth needs to go immediately. By the way, in case you haven't been keeping score, another GOP person died in the House, which takes the majority down one, and another was in a serious car accident, so he's out of commission, which takes it down another one.
I did not know that. Who
He
died?
basically, Mike Johnson has a 2-person margin at this point. He's basically down to either 219 or 218, depending on how you
Mm.
want to count it. He can't lose anybody, which is why he lost the vote to advance the ACA. And he's
Mhm.
sitting here running around like the dog in the little house on fire meme, like everything's okay. I'm
It's
fine.
fine. Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
Everything's
It's not fine, bruh. It's the opposite of fine.
fine.
It's
Mm-hmm.
so unfine, it couldn't be less fine. It's absolutely.
He just talking about, he said knots and scared.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
not scared.
92 miles. Cuba's 92 miles from Florida. Yeah, actually, when I was putting together my escape plan, going to Cuba was going to be an option. Going to Cuba, going to the Bahamas. I was going to kill somebody and take their boat. That was the plan. But yeah, it's still the plan. But yeah, Mar-a-Lago is in striking distance. A problem
Yeah.
is he ain't there, right?
I mean, he's there almost every weekend playing golf.
I remember how they had a fit. And again, it just shows you how very racist this country is. They had a fit because Obama took his wife to Paris for vacation on his own dime. And they were
Right.
mad that he had money to spend. Meanwhile, this dude has spent almost $1 billion on himself for golf that he's not even good at, because I heard he cheats,
Oh, he cheats
right?
nonstop.
And they're just fine with it because he's a rich white guy, or he says he's a rich white guy.
Well, I mean, he certainly improved his net worth with all of the fake coins that he sold people, and his rich friends rode the wave and knew when the crest was coming, so they sold and made a whole bunch of money. He made a whole bunch of money on the processing fees, and so he doesn't care that the coins are in the toilet.
No,
I mean, I just
he is a con man's con man, and they just let him do it. You know that whole thing. The only thing that evil needs in order to succeed is for good men to do nothing. That's what we're seeing
right.
right now. And I'm not even talking about the Democrats and what they thumb up their ass, because they haven't done anything either. I'm talking about the Republicans, the members of the GOP, who know this is ridiculous. And they're so afraid of blowback from his regime that they buy into the regime, not understanding if you stood up to this, none of this would be happening. If they
Right.
had sided, if they had looked again beyond the next 5 days and sided with the Democrats around actually impeaching him, we wouldn't be in this mess right now. And so everybody's like, what are Democrats doing? It's not about them. The same way black people have sat back and let white folks do all this protesting because it ain't about us right now. The same thing needs to happen within politics. The Republicans got to fix this Republican problem that we are
Yep.
all facing.
I think one thing, we're looking at a bunch of different bellwethers. The fact that the GOP is openly in revolt against Trump on things that Trump wants to do. This isn't the first vote that has gone against him. Now, I don't know that there would be enough of the 2/3 on both houses to defeat a veto, but I also don't think he has the support of being able to do a veto, because guess what? It has been more than a month since they returned from the shutdown. So it has been 6 sets of weeks, and each new healthcare plan was supposed to be 2 weeks away. They don't have a new plan. This is the only thing they have, and they are going to be destroyed if they don't come up with something on healthcare.
Yeah, and
And so,
meanwhile, to Mike's point, people are betting. They're betting on stupid political things, and somebody made $50,000 when Levitt ended her press briefing 30 seconds short of 65 minutes. But that. It's funny, but it is also indicative of the level of apathy that we now have. That people are just betting on nonsense and making Lou doing it. I mean, the minute something tragic happens, like not even an hour later, there's a GIF, a meme, some sort of reel about it,
absolutely.
to go viral or whatever, because people making jokes. And we joke in the black community about being unserious about everything because we've learned to laugh at our own pain. But I see people laughing at other people's pain outside our community. And that is what's also dangerous, because nobody's doing anything, you know?
I will just say, on the topic of laughing at people's pain, I would just like to laugh at two rappers who both happen to be in the same kind of camp. Of course, everybody knows about Nicki Minaj and what she has faced. In addition to shutting off her Instagram again, I know that she had shut off her Instagram at one point, but she turned it back on, and then she had to turn it off. Now it's like 140,000 people have signed a petition asking for her to be deported. So she's real scared at this point. She is scared
And
at
she's
this
not an
point.
American citizen.
She's not, never has been,
Mm-mm.
and paid all these taxes, which thought she made her invincible.
Never.
But you were a useful troll, and now you were seeing that nobody cares. And then, of course, our favorite punching bag, speaking of punching down, Drake is in the midst of a RICO lawsuit
Phil has a really good
because
point. Before we get into Drake, Phil has a really good point. McConnell could have ended all of this, but
he could
instead he
have.
decided to tuck tail and run and be like, "I'm out."
It
And
would not have taken much for them to get those votes to convict him.
yeah, and they didn't.
And they didn't. But be that as it may, because I still want to rag on Drake. Drake is in the midst of a RICO suit because him and Aiden Ross promoted this betting platform. He was always on there. I need a max win and all this, and he's betting on things, 300,000 on this, 500,000 on this, betting all this big money. Got these people to participate in the betting platform, and then was using the proceeds to prop up his streams.
I did not know that.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
heard a little bit about it, and I was like, "What's with the betting?" I didn't pay attention to it all, but bruh,
Yeah, that's the
really?
scuttlebutt. He was using the proceeds from the betting platform to buy streams on that BS album, Some Sexy Songs for You, and with Nokia and stuff.
Because nobody listened. I didn't even know he put an album out. Like somebody was talking about how Drake fans are still butthurt because Kendrick, got a Grammy and all of, got the Super Bowl and
Multiple
everything
Grammys.
else,
Yeah.
and multiple Grammys. And they're like, he's been suppressing views and blah blah blah. And they're like, no. And they're like, Drake used to make you bop in the club, and Kendrick don't make you bop. And somebody responded to that with all these people talking about A minor in the clubs.
Right.
Like, I think you're wrong. But somebody else said, do you realize that Drake has put out a ton of music since this beef and nobody's heard it?
And he pulled back. He tried to drop. He was dropping tracks from what was supposed to be this Iceman album. And then it was just like, nah. So it's a lot of stuff. Yes, exactly. Don't forget, while we're talking about stranger things, or things that are strange, Drake had a thing with Millie Bobby Brown too that was unsettling. That was real creepy.
Ew, she's like, just how old is she now?
She's 24 now.
Yo, but she was like 12 when we first saw her.
He just
Maybe
married John Bon Jovi's useless son. And she changed her name to Millie Bonnie Bon Jovi, because Bonnie is her birth name, but she said Bobby instead of Bonnie. So Bobby Brown, I guess, which is also kind of creepy and weird. But she's now married to a Bon Jovi person, and they have a baby. 11 has a baby. No telekinetic power so far. Oh. And exactly, Chan. You're pointing at yourself in the mirror, my boy.
This is good news. 17 House Republicans voted for the extension. Thank you to all the Democrats and those 17 Republicans, because my premiums were 60% higher than they were last year.
Woo!
And once again, I'm lucky because I got rich auntie money that I could afford to pay it, but I'm very happy to not have to pay that when it goes into effect.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be tricky, but I think that the Republicans know that you can't blame this on Obama anymore, because this was your plan. This was Romney's plan it was Nixon's plan that Romney instituted in Massachusetts. And the reason that the health insurance companies, I'm kind of surprised that the health insurance companies actually said, we're just going to spike the premiums like this. They should have just said, we're going to work with you to keep premiums down. Because
what did I say earlier? Rich money. I want my money right now over the next 3 days instead of thinking about long game. Right. The only long game that they're good at playing is racism. They can plan that for hundreds of years, but fiscal responsibility they can't see past February.
No, they and listen. I'm glad that this vote is going to show his weakening resolve. Meanwhile, they're literally talking, if you hadn't heard this right before we came on the show, they were talking about paying Greenlanders between $10,000 and $100,000 each to vote for a referendum to turn yourselves over to the United States. You know how that sounds when people can't pay for their health insurance in this country?
Yeah. There's somebody out there right now, the difference between their child getting the care they need and their child potentially dying or being uh, impaired for the rest of their life is $15,000, right? And you won't give them that because there's an off chance that some brown person might also get some aspirin.
And so that we're clear, Dr. Oz is literally pulling 1984 scams by saying we're making the largest investment in rural healthcare in the history of our nation after you pulled $900 billion out of healthcare. And you're going to give them $50 billion. Like you doing something. You pulled $850 billion away from the infrastructure. And then you crow about making the largest investment ever. Like this is literally the Ministry of Plenty. Literally.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, Tupac was a massive
Money
loss
for war, but not to feed the poor.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
That was Hey Mama, right? Isn't that Hey Mama?
What was it? You are appreciated.
That's
Hey,
well, yeah, but I
yeah,
mean
yeah.
that's Hey Mama basically.
Dear Mama.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dear Mama.
Mm-hmm. One other thing that, since we jolly over this, one of the things, two other things that I put in here, and I mentioned this when we talked about McConnell for a bit, but
keep your head up.
Keep your head up, right? Exodus and abdication. I wanted to talk about this for a second because I keep seeing all these people that could stay and fight, tuck tail and run. I understand, and I completely understand that some of them literally and righteously fear for the lives of them and their families. They've been shooting and murdering public officials, so I get it. But at the same time, the very people who helped bring this problem to its grand to this moment are now like, I'm just not gonna run for re-election. That doesn't help. It doesn't solve the problem. It just takes you out of the immediate line of fire. You can stay in there and go against your party. You can stay in there and fight for the truth. You can stay in there and say, this is crazy and we shouldn't do this. But instead, you're like, I'm going to just go home. And I'm seeing it happen over and over again. And that you are a coward.
Yep.
That's all I wanted to say.
That's what it is. 218 Republicans to 213 Democrats. I was right. And there are 4 vacancies. So some of those vacancies are going to be filled by people from the GOP, most likely. But if there are elections, if Marjorie Taylor Greene's district goes blue, it's a problem.
Yeah. It's very likely. Georgia's been purple for a long time. And even some of the hardcore ruby red areas are like, this is dumb. You start messing with people's ability to buy food, they will turn on you. And seeing as how I get I'm in New York right now. I know that, cost of living is high in New York, but I was at happy hour with a friend. We had calamari and tuna tartare and 2 drinks apiece. Guess what the bill was?
You're in Manhattan?
I'm in the financial district. I'm in Soho. So 2 appetizers, 4 drinks. How much you think it was?
What's the name of the restaurant?
Bar Bonobo. It was just a bar. Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe like 27 each for the appetizers and then maybe like 23 per cocktail, maybe.
Not bad. It was $150.
Yeah. It's New York.
It's New York. I could have got the same thing for maybe $80 in Atlanta. However, $80 for 2 drinks and an appetizer. That my half of this bill tonight was $80, right? That's with tip and everything. But my point is, food is becoming inaccessible. And like my dad told me 30 years ago, this country is only 2 or 3 hungry days away from total anarchy. And we got enough guns.
He literally announced the Patriot Games with tributes from all of the states. And it's like somebody tried to do the backwards math of the Hunger Games and all that. And somebody said, in the book, it's the 74th Hunger Games and it started in such and such and such and such a year. And so that means that this is the year that the Hunger Games started. And then people are like, no, that's not right, blah, blah, blah. The point is that he's starting the Hunger Games.
Yes.
Right now. He's starting the Hunger Games. And by the way, if you want a good happy hour that's a lot less expensive than $150 for two people, STK happy hour is kind of banging, actually. You could get a delicious STK burger for $9 with house-made chips. Modelo is $6. Their cocktails are super cheap.
People will start jacking you for groceries. You're not wrong about that.
Oh, they will.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in a Publix. And forget about going to a Waffle House. A Waffle House will literally be, I mean, that's
they already
Battle Royale.
Right.
So you try to get a skillet, and somebody go pick that skillet up and beat your ass.
Now, I'm going to take it back to the sharecropping comment I made earlier. Now, imagine, if you will, a city where I'm going to pick a company. I'm going to make up a company. Let's just call them Microsoft, right? Microsoft has decided they will buy up a whole block and they will put a couple of movie theaters and maybe a bowling alley and some shopping stuff there and a couple of high-rise, modest income places for you to live. And there would be a grocery store there that is farm to table, local, blah, 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 blah. They don't tell you they also own the farm that produces all of this. And you will be able to trade your real American money dollars for Microsoft dollars, plantation bucks, right? And buy anything you need from the grocery store. And it'll start off as a one-to-one trade with maybe some incentive to, buy into some rewards program. And within the span of a year to 18 months, it'll be where they pay you in this currency. And now you, even if you don't work for the company, you work for the company, right? Somebody in your house is going to be beholden for rent, utilities, and food with these Microsoft dollars. And that is how they will entrap you. And the problem is people keep thinking it's going to happen, like they're going to re-enslave Black people. They never really set us free. If you really understand the economy, what they're going to do is further enslave all you middle-class white people. Y'all about to see a side of the United States you never thought would happen to you.
So I'm going to keep on because Phil Harrison, it wasn't Judge Dredd with Taco Bell. That was Demolition Man. All restaurants
Same
with Taco
thing.
Bell.
Yeah.
Franchise wars. Mm-hmm. But remember in Sinners when they opened up the juke and some of the people didn't have real money. They had plantation money.
Yep.
And, Annie was saying, this is all they got. We'll figure it out. And I forget which one, if it was Smoke or Stack, who said,
Smoke.
We got to take, Smoke said, we can't survive off this, blah, 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 which is why Mary ended up going out and getting bit. I say all that to say, if you don't know anything about sharecropper money, just go watch Sinners again. This is exactly what Joy is talking about. And that's Parable of the Sower. That is Judge Dredd. That is all of this where corporations own every single aspect of your lives. And so, between 1984 and the propaganda, you don't even hardly see Caroline Levitt so much anymore because Stephen Miller is out there lying. Kristi Noem is on TV all the time. You got Marco Rubio, who's taking up oxygen these days. And now you've got these GOP senators who are actually coming to life. Don't think that Rand Paul won't flip and try to protect, because Kentucky is taking a beating. That thoroughbred care, because they were smart enough not to call it Obamacare. So they've got their own thing. And nobody knows, a lot of people in Kentucky, that's my daddy's home state, a lot of people in Kentucky do not know that is the ACA, which is also known as Obamacare. And when they don't, she is pregnant, which means, I guess, less filler. It'll be interesting to see if them lips come down to their normal proportions now that she's with child. And that'll be her off-ramp, probably, because...
How old is she again?
She's like not even 30, I don't think.
Her
husband is 32 years older than her. Yeah. It's real Epstein-y.
I was thinking that.
It's Epstein-y as hell. So, and hell, Erica Kirk with her scandalous ass. Listen, we are at an hour. And so I don't want to run too long.
No,
but 28. Yeah, so she's not yet 30, like I said.
Yeah. And the last thing I had as a banner was like, what fresh hell is this? And that's just talking about where we are right now. We've already mentioned it, but we are actively in the upside down. Like, this is life. I feel like this is like,
If I
Miami.
could make a deal with God.
That song is gonna haunt me for a minute because
We
I
didn't
didn't
even
know
talk
what the
about Stranger
song
Things.
was until it got to that part, and then I was like, I know this song from the '80s, and like, oh my god,
Wow, wow.
I just watched the finale earlier today, so it's fresh in my mind. But
Listen, first
one
of
of the
all,
things,
getting two Prince songs in there, chef's kiss.
yes, I was
Man.
happy about that. One of the things I do want to make a parallel to, though, from Stranger Things is you thought. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm not going to ruin it, Phil. But when you think you understand something, you think you know how bad it's going to get. And
Mm.
then you find out that it is not, that is
It's,
not
it's
the
not
end of it at all. It is a
it's
whole
not
lot
even
worse.
half as bad as you thought.
It's a whole lot worse than you thought. And
More work for both.
this is where poor MAGAs find themselves. Because there's rich people in that camp too that are, funding their own future revenue. But then there's a bunch of poor people that think this is as bad as it's going to get. And they don't know that it is going to get a whole lot worse.
Oh
And
my goodness.
and it's about how prepared are you. Like, I've talked to some people in this chat, as a matter of fact, about gun ownership and being ready, and Bowie knives and dried food and canned goods, and learning how to farm and what's the good land to farm. We've talked about all of that stuff because we see that as a future possibility. Sustaining your own food source is a
Mm.
true source of freedom.
Yep.
If you can live on some land and you own the land, even if they decide later that the deed isn't, because they've been doing deed fraud and taking people's houses and stuff. They can try that with me and all my guns if they want to. But as long as I got some collard greens and bell peppers and maybe a chicken in the backyard, I can eat. I can fill my belly, go hunting once a month, give me a deer, feed a whole village. That is freedom. you know and most people are tied to their wallet. I remember seeing this video of this girl. She didn't know you could eat a lemon straight off a tree because she thought it had to come from a store, because maybe it was contaminated or something. And this is not about being ignorant. This is not about being stupid. It's about being ignorant of food and its cycles and how it grows and everything else. We have taken all agricultural education out of these generations. They couldn't last a week in the forest by themselves.
Oh.
And they will absolutely be dependent on Microsoft, right?
It's funny that you say that, because I remember seeing a story on my feed where somebody was in the grocery store picking up chicken. And they said, it's so crazy how chicken, this meat, has the same name as the bird. Because they didn't know that the fluffy thing that lays eggs
Chance, see this comment right here. We're going to get back to the fluffy thing that lays eggs. But this right here is the propaganda. You can eat a lemon off a tree, but do you want to? That is actually an organic lemon. It is the very thing that Whole Foods is charging you $2 a pop for, because
right.
It's organically grown. And
Just wash that thing off.
One of the reasons, matter of fact, one of the reasons we don't, I've said this before, one of the reasons we don't have just wild lemon trees, apple trees, fruit trees, etc. across the United States is there was an active, plan to remove all possibility of free food from freed slaves who used to be able to glean a field and pick up whatever wheat was left over by the machines, pick up a little bit of cotton that nobody got, pick up a slice of, some pecans off the ground, which is why we have pecan pie, and all these other things grown naturally, missed by the farmers, or, 2 days from being rotten. We're going to take that and make peach cobbler out of it. Right? They took away all of that. One of the reasons the reason I'm stuffy right now is because of allergies, because pollen is so bad, because there's only male trees in public places. Male trees just skeet their pollen everywhere with nobody to absorb it. And so we all sitting here with hay fever, which feeds into the industrial complex of the insurance companies, because we all got to have some sort of antihistamine type of nonsense. All of this feeds on itself. We create these problems all in an effort to keep Black people down. And if we could ever get rid of racism, we could heal this whole country. The problem is so many people that need racism to feel better about themselves, they would rather die with us than live with us. They would rather we all go down just to make sure Black people go down. And that is the problem. That is the real problem. Every time we get close to some sort of societal revolution, like universal healthcare, stuff like that, I don't want those people to have it. And if I have to give it up so they don't have it, so be it. We'll all die. And that self-destructive mentality is literally how we got here. It's how we got where we are right now.
I'm just going to say, before we close, you literally almost ended my life by saying male trees are skeeting their pollen. Incidentally, it was just J5 a few days ago. It's about to be J13 before we have our next broadcast. So January is a big
to all the January babies.
All the January babies. What is it? It's like 5 orgs in January.
Yeah, yes. It's you, me, the K's, the Q's. Who else is in January?
I think it's the Zetas.
The Zetas.
No, the Q's are in November.
The Q's are in November. Okay. Zetas and the Sigmas?
It's a lot of us.
It's happy birthday.
Happy birthday to the
Greek
D9
anniversary to all the D9 babies.
Yep. Especially if you came through an HBCU or a really Black city.
Right. And if you're wearing that crimson and cream, a little special shout out to all y'all.
Oh, super duper shout out.
I do love my pink and green friends. Shout out to CJ out there.
Oh, and Bob has a good point. It's not only that. They also targeted 2 school teachers in Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. They have shut down school for the rest of the week in Minneapolis.
Yeah, because it's not safe to be outside.
Of ICE. And also, big shout out, well, we were talking about STK being a sponsor. Big shout out to Hilton, who said, nah, ICE, we're not taking your reservations anymore.
Ironically, I'm in a Hilton right now.
And Avelo Airlines also said, yeah, we can't do the ICE contract anymore. We thought it was going to give us some stability, but the backlash against us is so extreme that we can't do it anymore.
They didn't want to go out like Target. And this point, they tackled him in the store because he looked Latino. His passport was in his pocket. Tell me how this is not show me your papers, Nazi Germany. Tell me how that's different. I don't have my passport in my pocket. I got my driver's license, but I don't have any proof that I'm an American citizen on my person.
But imagine the foresight it takes to carry your passport in your back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
He knew what was up. And it still didn't protect him.
It did not.
Because who cares? If I take your passport, you don't have it anymore.
All of these mall cops out here with real guns now, you can show them, you could take them and bring the doctor that birthed you with you and have him say, I birthed this child in, Minneapolis General Hospital. And they're like, I don't believe you. That's all it takes. This is fake. And then you go to jail. And they never see you again.
It's crazy time. It's literal crazy time. And everybody be safe. Be safe. And we will see. One thing I know for sure is that we will be back and we will continue to fight the good fight, talk the good talk with you good people. And with that, I will say, I'm Tom Cunningham.
And I am not.
And much love to the medications that are going to alleviate Joy's hay fever because, wow. This is Steel Sharpens Steel. Goodbye, everybody.